Hi, you guys, and welcome back. So, this is going to be pretty much my last video for December. Uh, I'm hoping to get one more up. We'll see how it goes. I still haven't posted the video where I decorate that gingerbread house I had made earlier in the month. It's just been so busy. I haven't had the chance to do it yet. So, hopefully, very soon. But for today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to make this fun Grinch drink. It's got a little bit of a sparkle to it. My mom had sent me some edible glitter to use in some drinks, so I decided to make a Grinch drink with one of them. And I'm going to show you both the alcoholic and non-alcoholic version. Actually, no, not true. I'm going to show you the non-alcoholic version and then just tell you what you can add to make it an alcoholic version. Okay, so besides that, I'm also going to be showing you guys how to make these super adorable Kit Pops. So these ones are my little melted snowmen. And then I have some Grinch inspired cake pops and just some fun, simple, more elegantly decorated ones. All right, so all the cake pops are exactly the same. I just decorated them in different decorations. I also used a boxed cake mix, which I happen to really like them, and they usually always turn out delicious. I also use a little tub of icing for it. I didn't make any of that from scratch, but the boxed cake mix, I do change it a little bit. I'm adding some pink champagne to it, and I change a few other little things, which I'll explain all in the video. And that is it. So please remember to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell as always. And I am going to walk you through how to make all of this and then show you it all up close at the end of the video. So thank you guys. Remember to hit all those buttons, and I will see you soon. Let's start by getting these cake pops made. So in my bowl, I am adding 4 eggs, and I'm going to put that on my mixer and let it start mixing. While the eggs are mixing, I'm going to add a half a cup of milk, a half a cup of melted butter, about a quarter teaspoon of almond extract, and about a teaspoon of vanilla. Of course, I never measure those. I usually just add a little splash of either one or both, whatever I'm using. Then I'm also going to add a half a cup of pink champagne, and I'm going to mix that all together. Once that's mixed together, then I'm going to slowly sprinkle in the box of cake mix and mix it just until it comes together, until it's combined. Once it's all mixed together, then I'm going to add my food coloring. Now, because I'm making pink champagne cake pops, I'm going to add pink food coloring, and you add as much or as little as you want. I want mine to be fairly dark pink, so I'm going to add quite a bit of food coloring. And then I'm going to mix it all until it's the color that I want. The texture should be smooth. I'm going to take it and pour it into a 9 by 13 inch pan that I've already greased and floured. I'm also preheating my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and once the cake's in the pan, I'm going to pop it into the oven, and it's going to bake for approximately 30 to 35 minutes-ish. Check it with a toothpick. If the toothpick comes out clean and you touch the top of your cake and has a little bit of a spring back to it, then it's done. Take it out, and you're going to let it cool completely. Of course, with cakes, you let it cool in the pan for a little bit, then put it on a cooling rack. However you want to cool it, it needs to be completely cold before we turn them into cake pops. While I'm waiting for the cake pops to cool, I'm going to make some little chocolate decorations to put on them. So I'm using some white chocolate, melting chocolates. I'm going to put a few in a bowl, put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds. You do about 30 to 15 second intervals, and you keep mixing it until it is smooth and melted. Then I'm going to put it in a piping bag, and I'm going to try and make some cute little decorations, some little hearts and some bows. we'll see how this goes. If they don't turn out, I won't use them. If they turn out great, then I'll use a couple. But anyway, you don't have to do this. It's just something extra that I'm doing. And it's fun. So do this if you'd like, or skip through this to the next part. Okay, so the cake is cooled now. I'm going to break it into large pieces and put it into my mixing bowl. Normally, I would use the whole cake, but my husband's not a fan of cake pops, so I'm just saving him a piece of the cake. All right, mix it all together, and you're going to mix it until it's a crumbly texture. Basically, you're just breaking it all up. You don't want any more of those big chunks of cake in it. And I checked it by doing it by hand just to break up the pieces to help it along. But you don't have to. Just let your mixer do the work. So now that it's a crumbly texture, I am using Betty Crocker icing in it. Use whatever brand you want. I just prefer this one. And I'm adding 3 scoops. So it's roughly half the container of icing, which is just enough to bring everything together. And you want it to be kind of like Play-Doh, but it should not stick to your hands. It should just be moldable. Okay, so take your cake pops and you're going to make them into balls. I am using roughly a 2 tablespoon scoop and trying to make them as uniform as I can. So use whatever size scoop you want and scoop out all of your cake pop dough and form it into balls. All right, so there's no way to explain this next step with it sounding appropriate. So here it goes. You're going to take your cake pop sticks. You're going to dip them in the melted chocolate and then poke them into each of the cake pops. And you're dipping them in the chocolate because it creates a small little base for your cake pop to kind of sit on so it doesn't slide all the way down the stick and fall onto the floor, and then you don't get to eat it. Anyway, make sure when you put the cake pop sticks into the cake pop, you don't push it all the way through and pop out the other end, and then you have to fix it and push them back in and fix the cake pop, and it's a bit more work and a pain in the butt. So just poke them in a little bit. Oh my gosh, this is all wrong. It just sounds so terrible. You guys get what I'm saying. Just do it. And then put your cake pops in the fridge for a few minutes, probably about 10 minutes, just for that chocolate to harden. Okay, so now that my cake pops have been in the fridge for probably a good 15 minutes, I took some chocolate, put it in a small mason jar, something that is just deep enough to be able to dip each of the cake pops into it and be fully covered. So what I'm doing is I melted the chocolate, you dip the cake pop into the chocolate, and you very gently shake off any of the excess chocolate on it so it doesn't drip. If you don't have a cake pop stand like I do where I can have them all upright, you don't have to do that, but you can. Okay, so if you don't have a cake pop stand, you can always make one using some like styrofoam, something that is sturdy enough to hold them up. Of course, you don't have to do them standing up like I'm doing. You can also do them where they are like face down, I guess you would say, or upside down, which I'm doing here as well. I have a baking sheet lined with some parchment paper. I'm doing the same thing. I dip the cake pops into the chocolate. I shake off any of the excess chocolate, especially when I'm putting them face down like this. I don't want a puddle of chocolate underneath, so I shake off as much as I can, put them on the baking tray, and then once these are all done, I'm going to put them in the fridge. I'm going to say overnight. Otherwise, you only have to put them in long enough to make sure they harden. which could be, let's say, half hour. But I'm going to put them in the fridge overnight and finish these tomorrow. I wasn't sure how I was going to decorate all these cake pops, but I decided on 3 different types of decorations. So for this first one, I am making melted snowmen. And I'm going to take some melted chocolate, put it on some parchment paper in a puddle, and then I'm going to stick the cake pop in it. So first of all, melt your chocolate and use a small spoon and make a little puddle of chocolate on your parchment paper. Then I am using these like candy buttons, candy beads. They look like little black beads. And I also got these little candy carrots. They're super cute. They came in like a special little snowman sprinkle package. So anyway, besides that, let's move on. Take the little black beads and you're going to drop 3 of them into your little puddle of chocolate so that it looks like your snowman's buttons have melted. Then you're going to put your cake pop on the little puddle of chocolate as well. You might have to hold it just for a couple seconds so that it doesn't roll or tip over, just long enough to hold it in place. And you're going to do this for as many of them as you want. Put your puddle of chocolate on your parchment paper, add your buttons, and then add your cake pop. Once I have those all on my tray here, I'm going to put them in the fridge for, I don't know, about 15-20 minutes, just till it completely hardens. And when I go to touch it, it won't just tip over. All right, so now that my little snowmen have hardened, I put some chocolate in a piping bag, cut a really, really tiny little hole on the end. I have some tweezers in case I need them. And what I'm going to do is add a tiny bit of white chocolate onto the cake pop using the tweezers. I'm going to add 1 of the eyes to it. So I'm using the little black beads again, and I'm adding 2 eyes to each of my snowmen. I'm also going to use the white chocolate, put a little dab on the cake pop, and then stick the carrot nose on. So the white chocolate is basically your glue. You're using it as glue to add your eyes and your nose to all your little snowmen. And then I'm going to put these in the fridge again to harden. The next way I'm going to decorate my cake pops is using the piping bag that has melted chocolate in it. And I'm just going to kind of do random things. I know that sounds really terrible. Oh my gosh. Sounds so unorganized. All right. What I'm going to do is use the chocolate and like swirl it around the cake pops. I'm going to use it as glue to add some sprinkles. I'm going to make it look like shooting stars. I'm going to add some of those little bows and the little hearts you saw me making earlier in the video. And all of these cake pops that I'm making are all going to be white and gold. I also have edible glitter that I'm going to add on here as well, whether I paint it on or if I sprinkle it on or dust it on with a paintbrush. I'm just going to play around with them. I don't really have any clear direction of what I'm doing with each of these gold and white cake pops. I'm just going to let creativity take over and just have fun decorating them. You can do them however you'd like, of course. Be creative, have some fun. I also did try dipping them into some more white chocolate and then dipping them into some sprinkles, which I didn't love, but I tried it anyway. So I'm going to let you guys enjoy just a short, brief interlude of music while I decorate some of these. The last way I decorated my cake pops is Grinch inspired. So I took some green edible glitter and a paintbrush and I just brushed it onto each of the cake pops. And I did it fairly heavy and just brushed it off. And I probably did that twice to get it into the green that I wanted. I could have just used green melting chocolates instead, but I didn't know I was going to do this. It was spur of the moment. I was coming up with ideas of how to decorate them, and Grinch Inspired came to me. So that's what I did. I dusted them with some green edible glitter, so they're glittery. And I have these little cute heart-shaped pink candies, and I'm going to use my piping bag of melted chocolate, put a little dab of that on there, and then stick a heart onto each one of these green cake pops. And that is my Grinch-inspired cake pop. Now they're all going to go in the fridge to harden for a few minutes. And next, I'm going to show you how to make a Grinch drink to go with these Grinch cake pops. To make this Grinch drink, I'm going to show you guys the non-alcoholic version and then just tell you how to do the alcoholic version. So I started with a glass of ice. I added some orange juice and I'm going to use some blue Hawaiian punch. And I'm adding just enough to change the color to green. I'm then going to top it off with some 7-Up. You could use Sprite, you could use soda water, tonic water, whatever bubbly stuff you want. Give it a little mix. And then because my mom had got me edible glitter, I'm adding some green edible glitter to mine just to make it all sparkly. And then mix it all together with your straw or a little spoon. Now, the alcoholic version, you still start with your glass of ice and you add your orange juice. But instead of blue Hawaiian punch, you use blue curacao and you add just enough to turn it green. You also can add about a half a shot, so about half an ounce of rum or vodka, whichever you prefer. And to top it off, instead of using Sprite or 7-Up or bubbly water, I use Prosecco. And I add that in, I stir it all up, and that is the alcoholic version of the Grinch drink. And of course, I add the little bit of edible glitter to it too, so that it's sparkly. And that's your Grinch drink. That's it. Super easy both ways, whichever way you choose. But just remember, like when you add your orange juice and then you add whatever blue you're adding, you're only adding enough blue to turn it green. All right, here's the close-up. I don't know if you can actually see the sparkle, the glitter in it, but I tried. Okay, so you made it all the way through this video. I know it's longer than I normally do, so thank you for sticking it out. The Grinch drink, I'm sorry you can't really see the glitter or the swirling effect, but it's really pretty. And all 3 of my cake pops, however I decorated them, all turned out really cute. I've already eaten 1 or 2 and they taste great. The snowmen are definitely my favorite. I absolutely love them. They're so cute. And they were probably the easiest ones to make out of all of them. Okay, so I hope this inspired you with some ideas for some fun New Year's Eve treats. Remember to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell. Thank you guys for joining me today. It's been a fantastic year. I'm so happy with everything and how all my videos have turned out. Happy New Year, and I will see you guys all next year.